Welcome to Score Sunday. This week, we're just ahead of the holidays, and it was a big weekend for professional wrestling here in the Quad Cities. And when you think professional wrestling and the Quad Cities, one guy's name comes to mind. We're here at Black and Brave Academy with Colby Lopez, aka Seth Rollins. Thank you for taking some time and chatting with me. You guys are here in the Quad Cities, Saturday night event. What's it like being at home and being in front of maybe family, friends, hometown fans? Is it more special or a little more special than just every other night?
It's actually worse for me. yeah, because I can't. They know me, right? Everyone knows me, so I can't. I feel like a fraud, you know. They know that I'm not this character, right? So it's a different vibe when you're out there in front of your family and friends. Like you have to kind of like just pretend they're not there and work for everybody else that kind of maybe knows your name but doesn't fully know you. So it's harder in that way to like get yourself in the element. It's easier for me travel-wise, you know, so we don't have to lug everything around or get on any airplanes, which is nice.
You are a Quad Citian. You live here, and I think people are kind of surprised maybe by that. What is it about the Quad Cities? I mean, you're invested here, you live here, you're from here. What makes this place special for you?
I mean, when I was younger, I think in my teenage years, for anybody that grew up here, you know, it's not like the place to be, you know, and I think there's always the idea that you want to get out of here, do something different, never come back. But I was fortunate enough to travel a lot when I first started doing this in my, late teens and early 20s, and I think the fact that I was able to travel so often and then come back, it just always felt like home. There was a comfort to that. And so the people are great. Everyone's really nice, treats me well. It's centrally located as well. You know, we do a lot of travel in and out of the West Coast, East Coast, all that stuff. My wife and I also have a place out in Los Angeles, so January, February, when it gets a little colder, you know, we got a place to dip. But it's centrally located for the travel. It's really easy for everybody to get here. And it's a, quick hop to Chicago or Des Moines or wherever. But I think mostly it's just that it's always felt like home to me. And so it was natural for me to want to set up shop here and my coffee shop, the wrestling school, and put it here someplace where I felt comfortable. And like I said, this place has always been like comfort, like home to me.
You mentioned the coffee shop, the Wrestling Academy. You're invested here in the Quad Cities too. I mean, you're also, putting businesses up here and being part of the community. How important is that to you to see these businesses and to see them thrive? And at 392, we just talked. My wife is addicted to 392,
I love that.
Which is a good thing.
Caffeine will do that to you.
Yeah, exactly. How important is that to invest in the Quad Cities a little bit too?
The funny thing is, it was never really like. Building a community was never like my. Like I wasn't like, I want to build a great community. I want to do all this. It was just, they were passion projects for me. Obviously, the wrestling school is self-explanatory, but I love coffee as well, and being able to travel all over the place and try different, coffee shops, cafes, whatever you want to call them, in different countries and different cities. And we just didn't have anything like that a few years ago. 392 was based up in Clinton, and they just were trying to kind of get a foothold here in the Quad Cities. They had pop-ups over at Oh So Sweet and some other places, and they were trying, but I was able to provide that to them, and thus we started to build a small community based around my interests. And so, like I said, it was never my intent, but it's something that as we've gone along, we've got 2 coffee shops, one up on Utica and one down here downtown, and then the school, and a lot of people have come here and moved here. It's something that I've been kind of extra proud of, I suppose.
You look at, we interviewed you years ago, and since then, maybe the biggest change since I talked to you last was you're a husband now. You're a dad now.
Yeah, for sure.
What's that like? And how? I think a 2-year-old you said. So how big of a change is that? And what's that been like for you?
It's been a pretty big change. I think mostly just
kids will do that.
Yeah, mostly just like a priority shift, I suppose. You start to think about your future differently, I guess, and you start to prioritize. Other people before you, which when you're career oriented, it's you. And so now, husband, dad, she's 2 years old, and it's the best. It's a lot of fun. I think that's the one thing that people they don't dote on too much, is that it's really fun to be a dad. They don't tell you that sort of thing. They're like, oh, it's hard, you're going to lose all this sleep, and you're running around and this and that, and that's all true. But at the same time, it's just fun. It's so much fun, and we're fortunate that we're in a position to be able to take her on the road with us. And so it's awesome, man. It's been cool to watch her grow and develop and try to enjoy each little age because they change so fast at this age. So it's been a treat, man. Really, it has.
Your wife, Becky Lynch, did you have to convince her to, hey, look at, I don't want to say it's bad, but look outside. I mean, did you have to say, like, hey, it's not like this all the time, and December's is kind of gloomy
Well,
and
you
bad,
know, you're married, your relationships are compromised.
There
So
you go.
we have the place in Los Angeles,
They
we
are?
have the place here.
I
Yeah.
remember that. I gotta remember that.
Well, we do a lot of the compromising.
There you go.
But being here, you know, she knows that it's obviously the businesses are set up here. She knows that it's close to my heart, and so yeah, there's always going to be a place here, whether or not we stay here full time for forever, and whether we, you know, go wherever she wants to. If she's got a, you know, her acting career is starting to, you know, perk up a little bit, and that's where she wants to go. And so if we end up in that direction and that takes us out west, then so be it. If not, then here we are, you know. So like, again, we're very fortunate, and we're in a position where we can have homes in multiple places and kind of, you know, go where the wind takes us, so to speak. So yes, it has been often like pulling teeth to get her to stay here sometimes, but I don't think she minds it too much.
Yeah, we're good people around here. Hey,
Yeah.
enough family talk. Let's talk wrestling. What was the pandemic like for wrestling? I know it's kind of something that's in the past, but we're talking about a house show is what I used to call them. I don't know if you guys still call them that, but now we can go to those, we can see those. But for the longest time, was it different? Was it awkward? And how nice is it to have, you know, I know family and people you have to live up to this weekend, but to have people back in the audience yelling and screaming at you.
Yeah, it was rotten, man. It was rough, you know. Fortunately, I spent a lot of my early years in the industry wrestling in front of very few people in empty gymnasiums or what have you, and so I was accustomed to that. But it was certainly a step down from, you know, 80,000 people at WrestleMania to being in the Thunderdome and just seeing a bunch of virtual faces around you and piped in, you know, applause or what have you, noises. And so it was rough, man. I felt like our company did a great job at trying to continue to keep people working. And so the fact that I was able to have a job and have a paycheck and go to work and do those things safely as we could, I felt super privileged. Where you look at a lot of people in different states, they had nothing, you know what I mean? They were struggling. They depression, anxiety, and a lot of things that we were fortunate enough as performers in WWE, we had a platform to, you know, or an outlet to kind of live our lives normally and stuff like that. And so, but as a performer, man, it was rough. But and there were some silver linings that allowed us to do things from a story perspective that we wouldn't, and a promo perspective. It became more about, you know, this. As opposed to the theater of pro wrestling. And so you're able to hone in on your words and your stories a little bit different. We were able to do cinematic matches for the first time ever, which were pretty wild. You know, you had some of the weird WrestleMania ones, and you know, I was involved in an eye for an eye match, which you wouldn't have been able to do in front of a live crowd. So there were some silver linings, but more than anything, I think even with wrestling, we do so many shows in WWE because we're just a touring company all the time. At some point, you start to take it for granted. Now it's something that every time I go out, I go, okay, you know, this could be gone in a second. And that reminder is very clear in my mind often, and so I don't take those experiences for granted.
The last time I talked to you, you were not a Grand Slam champion. You are that now at such a young age.
Was that long
Are you
ago?
young? Is it a young age still?
I'm
you considered it?
I'm a double Grand Slam champion.
Jeez,
Now. I've won all four.
Get it right?
All four of them twice at least. Yeah.
Is that weird to hear? Or is that like, hey, I put in the work, I put the time in, like, I don't want to be cocky and say, hey, I deserve that, but is it weird to sit back and think, oh, wow, that's something? Twice. I want to short you twice, 2 times.
Yeah.
On record for that.
I guess maybe a little bit of both. Like, you know, there's still part of me that feels like a small kid from Buffalo just growing up wanting to be a pro wrestler. But there's also a part of me that knows I've been with the WWE for 10 years, and that I've put in the work, and I've wrestled thousands of matches for the company. And, you know, if I'm not decent at my gig at this point, you know, I should probably find something new. So, yeah, I mean, it feels good to have all those accolades and stuff like that. And some of it, I think, in retrospect, you go, "Wow, what a wild career I've been able to put together here over the last 10 years in WWE." But at the same time, yeah, I mean, I do recognize that I've put in the work, and there's some merit to that.
Seth freaking Rollins.
Yeah, I got a middle name
And
now.
yeah, and you've been a good guy. You've been a heel. I've been a face, and everywhere in between. Do you look at that and say, I am that word. I'm a heel. I'm a face. I'm a good guy, bad guy, or do you just let your character kind of go and take you to where maybe the WWE universe takes it? Because you're supposed to be a bad guy right now, but I think you're kind of a good guy right now.
Yeah.
And people like to hate. Like, I don't know.
I don't know whether that's me or the sign of the times, man. I don't.
That's true. That's true.
I think any. I mean, we're just like any other entertainment, right? So whether you watch a movie or a TV show or something along those lines, or you read a book, and sometimes people just resonate with the villains, or the villains are more interesting as characters. You just, that's just how it is sometimes. And you put that together with the fact that I've got all that equity with our audience, and it becomes really hard to dislike someone where I'm at. And if I was awful at my job, maybe you'd have an excuse, but fortunately for me, I don't think I am. And so I think our audience recognizes that, and there's a level of respect that all that time and effort that you put in, they know that that's there, and there's no replacing that. And so, I mean, I always think of myself in those terms as far as good guy, bad guy. I try, to tell my stories in that way. But at the end of the day, our audience is going to dictate to us who's what and why, And so you can't tell them what to do anymore. Those days are long gone,
There's the athletic side of wrestling, very athletic side of wrestling, and then there's the storytelling side. And right now, with your character, with your creativity, what you've been able to do, what part draws you in the most, or is it both? Do you like the 5-star matches and that kind of stuff, or is it be able to have some creativity and kind of continue to develop characters that you've done?
Well, I think that's the best thing about our business is that it is both, and you can't separate one from the other. You can. It's like a spectrum where you can lean towards one side, right, and you can enjoy wrestling as this athletic contest and sort of this acrobatic or violent play, but on the other end, the best things that I've ever seen in wrestling are the emotional parts of it, the storytelling parts of it. And so the cool thing that we do is that we do both. And there's no other form of entertainment that really, really captures people's imaginations in both ways. And you can go to a show and you can get full stories and you can get full characters. You can get people like The Miz, or you can go the opposite direction and you get people like, we've got this cat named Ricochet who can do literally any sort of flip you ask him to at the drop of a dime. And so you can get all that on one show, and they can cross with each other. You have giants like Braun Strowman, or you have, high flyers. You've got people like me who are wacky characters. You've got these larger-than-life personalities mixed with the athletics. And again, there's just no substitute for it. There's no other. You can't go and get this anywhere else. It really is like just a live action movie with a play, with storytelling, and a lot of fun. So, I mean, to me, there's no. I think, at 36 now, I've been doing it for 20 years. I lean more towards the stories because I have to, because my body needs me to. But I still think I can get up and go when I need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Triple H is somebody very important and influential to your career and what you've kind of done. Obviously, Vince is no longer there. Have you seen a big difference from Triple H to Vince, or you just kind of head down, do your job, that kind of thing?
Yeah, at the end of the day, a job's a job, and your boss is your boss. I think, obviously, especially in larger corporations, you see a top-down type of culture. Who your boss is and who the head is sort of represents how everybody conducts themselves. And I think, Triple H learned a lot from Vince. And so there's tons of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. They're 20 plus years apart in age. So the rapport is just going to be different. The conversations are going to be different. The pop culture understanding is going to be different. Just naturally, Triple H at 50-something is going to understand a 30-year-old a lot better than a 75-year-old man's going to, and so it's just an easier conversation to have. Sometimes you have to explain, you have to go through a lot less filters to explain ideas or whatever, or just have a basic conversation, and so In that regard, it's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's, you go and you're collaborative and you try to do the best you can and put something out there that you're proud of, that your boss is happy with, that your audience is happy with, and let the chips fall where they may. You're not going to win them. It's entertainment. You're not going to win all of them, but you try to hit as many home runs as you can.
I'm a wrestling fan. I'll be there this weekend with my boys. So I got to ask you some fun questions. Past, present, future. What matches would you love to have? Give me one from the past. If you could go back and wrestle this guy, you would. Give me one from the future, right now, presently, that you'd love to. And then in the future, who'd you like to wrestle with?
Let's see. I think the past, there's so many eras, but, Shawn Michaels is always my favorite wrestler, and that's my stock answer. I don't think there's really anybody else that would.
And you never got to?
No. Wow. Shawn was, he was retired by the time I had got to WWE. Okay. He had one match, tag match with Triple H against Undertaker and Kane at an event in Saudi Arabia a few years back. And I don't know that he's fully retired, but I would suggest he is probably at this point.
He doesn't want any part of you right now?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he keeps himself in pretty good shape.
Oh, yeah.
He's down in Florida, training up the next generation at NXT, and so he's doing a good job there. But I'm sure he's ready to go at any moment.
Sure.
Right now, there's a guy on our SmackDown roster that I really like. His name is Gunther. He's the Intercontinental Champion, and he's fantastic. And he and I have had a few run-ins, but this incarnation of him and this one of me, I think, would be pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the future, man, gosh, I don't know. Look around, Maybe one of these guys.
Here.
Yeah, maybe one of these guys will be someone to pass the torch to in the future.
Big picture looking at it, I won't keep you too much further, but there's the WWE and there's a lot of competition. Do you even know the competition? Do you pay attention to any competition, or do you just kind of focus on your craft, focus on what you do, and kind of keep it centered in what you do?
Oh no, I think I definitely focus on myself, most importantly, on what I do. I think sometimes it's good to take opinions and see opinions and constructive criticism is good. It helps everybody, and I think helps you as a performer get better. But at the end of the day, I definitely know what's going on out there. I, just like you, am a wrestling fan. I grew up a wrestling fan, and so I watch wrestling and I pay attention to wrestling. And that for me is fun. I enjoy that, and I'm happy to see that there is healthy competition out there. People trying to grow businesses outside of WWE, but in the realm of professional wrestling. And there's so many talented guys and girls out there that, God bless, WWE has tons of content and tons of programming, but we can't fit everybody on these things. And our vision's maybe not the same vision as other people's. And so the fact that there's alternates out there, alternative, companies that are trying to get a foothold in the industry, I love it. I love to see it. I think it's only going to push the business forward as a whole.
Colby, I appreciate you. Thank you for taking time for me.
Anytime.
Best
Thanks,
of luck,
man.
and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.